There are some American mobsters who make huge sums through illegal operations such as bootlegging, gambling, extortion, and drug trafficking. These illicit profits were not just stored, they were also used to further their criminal activities and show off their affluence. These mobsters' luxurious lifestyles were defined by excessive spending on luxury products, investments in businesses, and clever financial moves to maintain and increase their influence. Number 6. Paul Castellano. Paul Castellano was an American mafia boss with a net worth of $20 million at the peak of his dominance in the early 1980s. That's equivalent to about $50 million now. Paul Castellano was born in Brooklyn, New York in June 1915 and died in December 1985. His nicknames included the Howard Hughes of the mob and Big Paulie. He succeeded Carlo Gambino to become head of the Gambino crime family in New York. Castellano spent more than $1 million in 1981 to construct an opulent 17-room mansion on Staten Island that became known as the White House. The property features an Olympic-sized swimming pool, an English garden, and high-end Carrara marble throughout. To compensate for his extravagant lifestyle, Castellano began demanding a 15% part of his capo's revenues, up from 10%. At the time, many of his capos were struggling to make ends meet, so Paul's lavish mansion, plus the increase in monthly tribute, sowed the seeds that would eventually cause him to be assassinated. Number 5. Al Capone. Al Capone was an American criminal who died with an inflation-adjusted net worth of $100 million. Capone was a 5 Points gang member who worked as a bouncer at organized crime establishments before becoming the boss of the Chicago outfit. At the height of his dominance, Al's empire was generating around $60 million from illegal alcohol, $25 million from his gambling operation, $10 million in vice, and another $10 million from a variety of other activities. At the height of his very bloody years on top, Al was personally pulling in $105 million per year. At today's prices, that amount was a cool $1.5 billion a year. In 1928, Capone purchased a 6,077 square foot mansion on Palm Island in Miami Beach for $40,000 as part of his luxurious lifestyle. The estate had a large ballroom, a lovely garden, a tennis court, a private pool, and other amenities. It was an ideal location for Capone to hold his famed parties. Capone's parties included gangsters, politicians, corrupt cops, celebrities, and socialites. These parties were not merely for entertainment. Capone utilized them to meet new people, negotiate new deals, and demonstrate his dominance. Number 4. Frank Lucas. No gangster liked vehicles more than Frank Lucas. Lucas, born in North Carolina in 1930, climbed from poverty to become the most notorious drug lord of his era. He made a lot of money from his illicit activities. When his business was good, Frank earned more than $100,000 per day. He finally reached a net worth of $52 million. Lucas enjoyed spending money, particularly on cars. He possessed many vehicles, including a Rolls-Royce, a stylish Mercedes-Benz, a speedy Corvette Stingray, and a classic Chevrolet. Frank Lucas's automobile collection was more than a hobby. That was a statement of luxury. However, Lucas's luxurious lifestyle came to an end in 1975 when he was arrested and imprisoned for 7 years. Number 3. Nikki Barnes. Also known as Mr. Untouchable, he was the most powerful mobster in Harlem during the 1970s. He was nicknamed Mr. Untouchable because he evaded justice for a long period. When he was taken into custody, witnesses and evidence vanished and he was released. Mr. Untouchable enjoyed spending his dirty money. He had 200 outfits, 50 leather coats, and 100 pairs of custom-made shoes. His jewels alone were valued at more than $7 million. He also owned several mansions and apartments around Harlem. But his excessive spending did not end there. Mr. Untouchable bought a fleet of expensive vehicles, including a Bentley, Citroen SM, Ford Thunderbird, Maserati, and Mercedes-Benz. However, Mr. Untouchable couldn't remain untouchable indefinitely. In 1977, he was arrested and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. However, Barnes was freed from prison in 1998. That was the last time anyone heard of Mr. Untouchable. Number 2. Meer Lansky. Meer Lansky was known as the mob's accountant. He was also one of the most wealthy gangsters in American history. Lansky's net worth was estimated to be $20 million at the time, which is equivalent to $184 million now. When the profits from illegal activities came in, Lansky turned the dirty money into clean money. So what did Meer Lansky spend his multi-million-dollar riches on? Casinos. Lansky enjoyed gambling. He spent a lot of time in casinos across America. After spending so much time gambling, it seemed just natural for him to invest in the sector. So that is what he did. Beginning in the 1930s, Lansky established a network of hotels, restaurants, and casinos that spanned from Las Vegas to London and all the way to the Bahamas. Lansky also invested millions in establishing casinos in Havana, Cuba. Wealthy travelers from all over the world frequented these casinos, which were quite profitable for a while. However, the happy days did not endure forever. When Fidel Castro took over Cuba in 1959, he banned gambling. Lansky faced a multi-million-dollar disaster. He was forced to flee Cuba, losing everything he had invested there. There was also a significant crackdown on illegal gambling in America. Lansky's Florida casinos were closed down, and he lost even more money. Lansky put almost all of his money in casinos. However, it did not pay off. When he died in 1983, his bank account contained less than $35,000. Number 1. Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar is the wealthiest criminal in history. Although Escobar was Colombian, he was classified as an American gangster since he conducted almost all of his business in America. Escobar and his cartel trafficked loads of cocaine into American cities, making them extremely wealthy. Escobar's cartel was generating approximately $70 million per day from drug sales in the United States. Escobar's net wealth had grown to almost $30 billion by the time he reached his 30s. This made him one of the world's wealthiest men in the 1980s. He spent $2,500 every month only on rubber bands to keep the stacks of cash together. Escobar couldn't deposit his illegal money in banks, so he buried it in barrels and stashed it in warehouses. Escobar liked cars and had one of the top sports cars in the world. His collection featured a 1972 Mercedes Pullman, a 1964 Porsche 356, a 1974 Porsche 911, and a number of Toyota Land Cruisers. Escobar and his family stayed in Hacienda Nápoles, a luxurious estate near Medellin. It included a magnificent mansion, a stunning garden, many swimming pools, lush green lawns, lakes, and even a private zoo. However, Pablo did not spend all of his money on himself. Escobar constructed houses for poor families in Medellin. One of the most well-known projects was the development of Barrio Pablo Escobar, a neighborhood with many homes for those living in slums. Finally, American mobsters spent their billions on an array of personal indulgences and strategic investments meant to maintain their power and influence. Their luxurious lifestyles included magnificent mansions, fancy vehicles, high-end fashions, and lavish parties. So, what are your thoughts about today's video? Don't forget to leave all of them in the comments section below. Let's meet again with our next interesting video.